Hi everyone, how are you? Happy Good Friday. I've always wanted to do the big Catholic Stations of the Cross on Good Friday. The one where it goes from the evening. So I think it starts like at around 7 and goes till like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning on Good Friday. I haven't been able to do so. I came close once, but I have difficulty with sitting for reasons of my injury. So sitting up and not being able to move around and stuff is difficult for me. But have you guys done that? The full Stations of the Cross in a big, beautiful Catholic church. I don't know. It's just like I say. There's a lot of parallels in what is going on in our society about the people who try to tell the truth and how it goes back to the beginning of time as we know it. The people who tried to tell the truth were not listened to. The people who spoke the loudest and had accrued the most wealth were the ones that people would listen to and want because it was all fueled with greed. The truth tellers, they didn't get anything. Just like Mary, when she was carrying Jesus, where did she have to birth him? In a barn, which wasn't that unfamiliar at the time, in a manger. It's not like they had the big hotels, but it isn't like the birth of our king should have been as you would have expected. And people didn't believe that she was carrying Jesus. And his life was always filled with hate and bullying. It's interesting to see how it goes on, and you just look and you say, what's going on in our world? Why haven't things changed? Why have we not learned to listen to the truth? Although it takes longer to tell and explore, are we so determined to always have that quick answer, that instant gratification, that it takes too long to figure out the truth, so we don't really care and we go with the basic? Are we really that simplistic? And you go to, the levels, and you're going, are we dealing with spiritual warfare? Well, yeah, I believe we are. I believe that there's spiritual warfare very much going on in many things that we see today. Speaking of which, I would like to pull up this video under fair use. I'd like to use this clip that Charlotte got. The beautiful Charlotte. Doesn't she have the most beautiful eyes? Like I said, as a creator, when I was trying to find out, who to model myself after that followed the rules, I really have appreciated Charlotte and the way that she talks. And it's just like sitting down having coffee with a good friend when you watch Charlotte. So I really like her. And again, I'm asking for forgiveness rather than permission for this part that I'd like to use from your video, Charlotte. So here we go. Now, there's a very specific reason I want for you to watch. I would like to talk about the symptoms of withdrawal from both opioids and alcohol, my experiences with that, and how I do not see any of those behaviors in Michelle right now. So, we could be looking at the greatest plot twist ever. She may well be that Hollywood actress, stunt double, roundhouse girl that bends over and a net shoots out of her ass to go over the roofs to assess damage in storm torn areas and all that stuff. She's just amazing, right? I mean, wasn't she basically running the whole Godsmack tour? I mean, she's so wonderful. And it could be the plot twist that she was acting drunk, acting high, and that all of the money that she scammed from acting drunk and high from watching Mooly Golightly's business plan as I laid out last night, that she just has this big old wad of money and she's going to be able to get that house in May. And there you go. And she's going to take a bow when she gets the title of the house and all of that. She's going to be able to buy it free and clear with all these donations. And, the doctors are going to give bows and everything because they were all casted in this performance. Special role with the traffic cone, the curb incident, all of it. It was just all fake, and we all came together as a community to buy that house for her because I don't see that she's having any signs of withdrawal from opioids or alcohol, and I don't get it. There's no way possible from the amount of opioids and alcohol. There's no way that she could have cut cold turkey and be like this. I do believe that her idea of sobriety from alcohol is switching from Titos to wine. But what's going on with the opioids? Because her face doesn't look weirdly bloated and the bags under her eyes don't have their own bags right now. She doesn't have her hair in the doodle bug, and it looks like she's been doing some self care. That's huge in rehab and in recovery, when they start taking care of themselves and bathe and do their hair and some good hygiene. So we've seen an increase in the hygiene, but I don't see any signs of withdrawal. So as we're watching at the end of this, Charlotte put this out a few hours ago, and she's arguing with this chick, Golden Gypsy, who's saying, I met you at a bar, blah, 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 had these conversations, and she's saying,
no, I'm going to go and I'm going to have my ex-husband Etienne even get the phone records. I have not talked to you.
And then, it comes out.
I've talked to you 3 times. 3 times. But we have never met. You are a liar.
And the Golden Gypsy's like, we did too. I talked to you like this and all that. I mean, I don't know why she's trying to fight it so hard, but I think that for once in her life, she might be telling the truth, because think about it. There has never been an instance where you've seen a living, breathing human being next to Michelle cohabitating and not telling her to knock her shit off, like in the hospital. We know that she actually physically exists, that she's not just this goblin that we think, because the hospital staff was yelling at her. So she was there. Oh, I hear the geese. The geese have flown back. We're in spring today, apparently. My winter's gone. Miss my winter. Now it's going to be basically freaking spring and summer next week. I don't like that. So, she's yelling at this chick named Golden Gypsy about meeting her. And like I say, yeah, probably. No one could actually ever meet up with Michelle and have an in-person conversation, apparently. I mean, obviously it would be too, but it's weird because she should be so popular that she just doesn't remember all the people that she met. And she's going off on this chick because this chick said that she asked her for meth or something. And Michelle is adamantly denying that. Like, okay, she gets her meth from one person, thank you. She doesn't get it from multiple. I mean, what's the deal? She's admitted to having a meth issue in the past. She tried to say, oh yeah, it was just the one time when she was the dancer, because, oh yes, she's got that body of a dancer, right? Um, so I don't get it. I'm really questioning things here. So maybe we've all just been played and she's gonna take a freaking bow, or something else is going on. She's got a couple hours where she appears to be at her best and she is only filming then. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Check this out. So listen to this conversation and watch her, and we'll go through the symptoms of withdrawal that she does not have in just a moment. So I'll go ahead and put this all the way up to full screen.
When I had the text messages too. Never.
You could have asked you for meth and pills. Oh, yes, you did.
Yes,
I'm
and
gonna get
pot.
somebody to clip that shit too. We've
And
got evidence.
anybody
He's
in this
coming at
chat.
today.
Anybody in
Coming
this
at today.
chat.
Okay. So she said that she's going to get clips. So what? She's got an enabler now who's going to do her clips. Is that what's going on? Is that there's somebody who's going to give her her own clip channel too. Does she have her own? Does she have her flying monkeys creating channels and going to make clip channels for her? Wonderful, wonderful. I really love that for her.
Can tell you that I never said that.
And you're also an e-bagger.
Oh shit! Those eyebrows just zoomed up. The like I say, it's been a long time since I've taken my A&P classes, but I think that those are called the levator super chili, levator super chili muscles. She's got the strongest because those eyebrows, they go up all the way up. Watch them. I'm gonna go back just a second so you can really appreciate how she exercises the levator super chili.
I never said that.
Look at them go up. I mean, look at them, and they stay up like that too. They stay way up there. Really weird.
And you're also an e-bagger.
What?
Ow.
What? Is she looking in the mirror? Is she looking in the mirror? Is she really not talking to somebody else? Is she looking in the mirror? Because yes, that would be accurate. You are an e-bagger. You are an e-bagger. Like I say, anytime anybody shows the truth to her, she backs down and she wants it taken down, and then it'll start being nice. So just show the truth. Just like the Gilligan's Island spider saw himself in the mirror and he was able to move around and back out and do things what they wanted. Same thing. Reflect, reflect, reflect. Because she likes to deflect.
Oh, those texts are coming out today too. Those texts are coming out today too when you texted me and asked me to come on panel. And then
I did ask you to come on panel. I never said I didn't.
All right, sorry, I'm editing out a lot, but if I don't, this video.
So what is her big issue? What is the outcome of whether or not she did or did not meet this person? I don't get what she's so worked up about. I've never seen her so worked up. And then why do her glasses get all foggy like that? And then when she was taking off her glasses all sexily for ski one night, she was basically saying she didn't need them, and he was saying how much better she looked, and she's all like, yeah, you want to pay the rent? Wink, wink. Check my short on how Ski would have to pay the rent. Ding, ding.
Yeah, we'll go on for an hour.
Then you little twat. Oh, I'll call you because you said you're a bitch. Then you little bitch. Then you little bitch. You texted me, please come on my panel. We'll treat you good. We'll treat you
I did
good.
not say that. I said, come on
want
my
you
panel.
to show how you
I said,
cheat. And then I'm speaking.
You said
And
you
then
didn't
you
want
had
to get
everybody
attacked.
attack me. And you're like, oh, give me $100 so she dropped. But I dropped.
Well, why don't you get off YouTube and deal with real life shit instead of.
Okay, what? What? Okay, so people are now trying to. She has been perma-banned from YouTube. She should not be on YouTube. The fact that she has made 34 channels now and has had them all removed and is on her, or 33 and has had them all, and her 34th channel is up, and people are trying to get her to come up on their panels, is the reason why I continue to talk about this, because what she's doing is she was trying to get people who had the truth about her to take down their stuff so that she could go to a whole new community on the other side, like we saw, and go with her little sob story. And, yeah, I just seen you before. Yeah, I just kind of want. I'm Michelle, and I just kind of wanted to, yeah, are there bullies? I mean,
A bunch of angry vaginas over there, right? I mean, honestly, I've never done anything to any of them, and they bullied me all the way out, and they took my channel down. But you know what? I made up with the girl who did it. Yeah, Sarah. Yeah, she was talking about my divorce, and yeah, I got her to take it down and stuff, because, we're cool now.
She wants all of the easy things to be taken down so that she can go and find more people to go and beg from. And so then those people can't easily see one of our videos that has the truth in it and take it and show, hey, this isn't anything we want a part of. You're not supposed to be on YouTube. So we are, by the rules, breaking the terms of service by allowing you on our panel, and you have this history and you're no victim. You have victimized everybody. And she goes on. She doesn't want anything other than the truth about her to be taken down. The truth and the facts are there. She's put up her whole story. She put everything on Front Street, as they say. She put up her whole name, every middle name, a combination of names that she's used here. I mean, she has an arm's length of aliases. I'm just going to tell you that. But she put up a good combination of them here and has put on so much and has mentioned so many of these things. So we have the right to comment on them, and we have the right to critique them, and we have the right to say what is true and what is not true in what she has volunteered about herself. She doesn't like that. She doesn't like that. She decides that, okay, I don't want to play that way.
I don't want to play that way anymore. I don't like you anymore.
Because everybody came together. She had nothing. She couldn't go on Ski's panel anymore because people started really coming down on Ski and showing him that she's crazy.
Of worrying about other people.
Well, there's going to be a channel that's going to show all the bullshit that you are and you're an e-bagger. You know how many people work fucking hard?
Okay, so she has somebody who's going to work for her to expose this chick as an e-bagger. Then. So she went to somebody, did her little victim story. They can't find the truth. And so they're going to help her expose this chick as an e-bagger. Because she has a problem with e-bagging. Because she wants to be the only e-bagger. Because she is the biggest e-bagger.
For their money. And wish that
Do
they
you
could go on
know
a trip.
how people? That is the pot calling the kettle black there.
Oh,
Yep.
Damn sure is, Michelle.
no, darling.
Oh
I got
yeah,
stuff for
you
cooking.
expect people to buy your food
I got
that
stuff
you
for this
cook
and that.
that
But
you're
buy me
eating.
a hand embroidered beach towel.
I didn't
Give
ask
me
nobody to
this.
buy me that.
Give me that.
I go on
want this.
Amazon
I
and buy
want
my
that.
own
Those
shit.
channels coming out with the clips.
I don't care. I do not care, Michelle, what anybody thinks about me. I do not, especially you.
Damn. Boom.
Somebody texted me and said, drop the bitch. So bye.
Oh, somebody texted her and said, drop the bitch. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Look at that. Look at that vein in her neck right there. Okay. Now, the amount that she was drinking and the opioids that she was buying, saying she was taking, were causing blocks in her peripheral arteries, which is why the circulation supposedly wasn't going to the toe. But as you guys have pointed out, she was kicking her dog the night before, and it may be that she kicked the dog and broke her skin, and that's how, because her house is filthy and everything else, it started the infection, and it just didn't have the best circulation. But with that vein all bulge in there, and the fact that she's faked 2 strokes before, her third one might not be fake, and she might be crying wolf because no one's going to believe her this time. She smokes and drinks and does opioids daily. That's putting the odds of her living much longer very low. So I don't know why everybody was coming to her aid like, oh no, let's pray for her. Let's give her money. Let's buy her roses. Let's buy her a big cheeseburger. What the? I don't get it. I don't get it. But this bulging right here, when she's all mad with the other blocks she has and not taking that seriously, that could, really cause a stroke. And she better get those eyebrows back down to town because those eyebrows are just up there. And then, is this Morse code up here? Are these seagulls flying in on the forehead? What are these lines, man? She wants to yell about every other creator's looks and tell them, cam up, bitch, cam up, bitch, cam up. You know what? Another rule in YouTube says to protect your identity. You don't have to cam up. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's not her place to tell somebody whether or not to cam up. it's your choice. And where she's the one going on and writing on the Google that, she lost her job from all the online bullying. They were calling her office and she lost her job. There was no office, there was no job. But that means that she realizes that things that you do on the internet could affect your job. So there may be reasons why people don't use their name and show their face. So she realizes things, but then she does the opposite. A sociopath understands the rules, but doesn't believe they apply to them. So you have that in some kind of a weird, twisted way in what she does. But when she attacks other women like that, she does that chicken bobbing head, chicken bobbing head, and her neck goes back and forth and stuff. She's 5'8". You think she's 100 and something pounds? I don't know. She acts like this so confidently. Maybe it's that roundhouse kick and she gives off her crotch wind at somebody and they die. I don't know, because I don't see her looking like somebody who could back up the way that she talks that well. I would imagine that she's been on the receiving end of quite a few knuckle sandwiches, as we used to call them. See, look at her. Her face shows none of that bloating that there was from the alcohol. No paleness. I've not seen one yawn. When she is raging, she was raging from her body. I didn't see the shaking on her hands. The trembling that you get, when you don't drink and you're withdrawing. I don't get it, because, like I say, she might have been just, faking it for all we know. We don't know I don't know. I don't even know with this woman anymore.
I'm in love with Ski. I haven't been on Ski's panel in.
Oh, what'd you just say? I think you just said it. I think that if you want to, hey, clip that, people. Clip that. I'm in love with Ski. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the best clip ever. So somebody they must be texting her right here and saying this, and she's saying she's in love with Ski. And yeah, she absolutely was. He has rejected her, and that's where it went to her threatening to unalive herself, etc., etc. Yet when the cops came, they didn't even take her in. So she must have been able to talk her way out of it. Oh, but she said that she wasn't breathing. Yeah, right. She recovered rather well from that not breathing stunt and the brain damage 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
A week? Something like that? Okay.
You haven't been on Ski's panel for what, a whole entire week? A week? A week?
Right. Deuces.
I think it's been, what do you think, 4 or 5 days? Now, I don't know if I was having a weird dream or not, but when I saw Ski's Good Morning Wake and Bake episode this morning, he was ambulating around in the room. He was standing up, changing his outfit. He had a shirt that somebody asked about, and he said it was folded over there, that, he's worn it about 10 times and he's not washed it. Either he had washed it or had only washed it twice, something, but he's worn it 10 times. He says that he doesn't like to wash his clothes because then it messes them up and you don't really have to wash your clothes. Arguably, if you're just sitting there on the couch, I guess you could just fold things up and then a new outfit. But he was pacing back and forth like a tiger in his cage. He was pissed off about something. And his little protector angels were like, how about if you take a walk? Yes, let's do a walk and talk, Ski. And he wasn't talking with them. Something was wrong. And then somebody, gave some money. So then he, if he hears that little, just like Pavlov's dog, here's the little bell. When Pavlov's dog, you ring the bell and the dog would start to salivate. Same thing. Ski Mask Andy, he hears the little ding of a super chat. Then he perks up and then we'll come over and talk. It's magic, I tell you. But then he privated that video, so I really don't know. It's possible Ski Mask was moving around and changed his shirt. I don't want to put that, in stone or anything, but it was. So somebody said to her, "You're in love with Ski," and she said, "No."
Now y'all get my mods can just block all these. Okay?
Oh, she's got mods again. Oh, how nice. So she has mods and she has someone who's going to do clips for her and they're going to go and expose these fishes that, just won't let up on her. Oh, we'll just sit there and watch each one of them get burned one by one. How many people have stopped and done everything for her and offered her the world? And she'll lead them along for a while as long as they give super chat. And then the second that they stop giving money and offer to come and help her, help clean up, take care of her, whatnot, if they're female, then she will, wait until she finds a male and then say something about the female and say, yeah, well, I didn't want her coming out because she'd be doing weird things, looking through my paperwork and taking pictures of me while I'm sleeping, and I don't trust women. She wants Ski in there like no one's business. She wanted Ski. So all of these women who were, making arrangements for their family care, for their households to run so that they could come out and take care of her, weren't good enough. She didn't trust them, but she'd trust a convicted. I don't. Is he a convicted felon? I thought that he was maybe just for the convictions for the domestic abuse. Um, doesn't matter whether or not he is, but I'm just saying that anybody who offers to do that in that nurturing way, she thinks they have nefarious motives. Meanwhile, somebody who has an upcoming trial, arrest warrants active, and is convicted of domestic violence against his mother. Um, those are some pretty deep things, and the way that he talks about his brother, it's pretty scary. Pretty scary. He has a really scary temper. He does not know how to de-escalate. So to watch him when he rages is really scary. And that's who she wanted in her home, rather than these other nice people who'd been helping her. The one person who was going to come out, put $100 on her son's commissary. I mean, giving. Why does she look like somebody that you should be giving things to? Now, I've wondered this before. Does she have one blue eye and one green eye? Does she have hematochromia? What do you call that? Or is that dichromatic? Something. What is it? It looks like one is blue and one is green. Jane Seymour, the actress, has that, and it's really pretty. There's a couple actresses that have it, and it's rare, but it's really pretty. Her eyes are pretty, and when she is sober and stuff, she's a pretty lady. But we see that when she's in this mode, she's quite the character. She put some eyeliner on. Like I said, when you are above 30 ish, putting eyeliner on this underline ages you. It draws the attention to this lower eye. So only put it up here in just the top line, just in there, and then it draws people's eyes to the top. So you're giving yourself a little lift there. Whereas this 80s stuff that we did, the lower lash, it really isn't good.
I'm a shit person, block you now. Okay, I just did. Bye, Kiki. Also, just. Oh, God. We're going to just block a whole bunch of people.
She's just like her sister, Katie Joy. Blockety block block.
To
You
be
should have a
fair, because he
block
wouldn't let you
party.
up the other day. No, that's not why. No, because he brought up my son again and said I murmured him, and you should have seen the text message he sent me.
What? 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 Did some tea just get spilled and I still have my water boiling? I don't even have my actual tea. And oh, what happened with Jesse boyfriend? Let me hear that one more time.
Because he brought up my son again and said I murmured him, and you should have seen the text message he sent me. And I called his probation officer, and I believe his warrant was signed off on Wednesday.
If any of that is true,
Oh, and Charlotte clipped this perfect because, yeah. Okay, so the way this had went down is that in the beginning, when Justin and Molly were talking about Dre and Vaughn, the whole backstory there, there's that, like I tell you, there's a whole lot of stuff you should hear. But they focused on this one little thing that they were, the absolute Scooby Doo crew, in how the rope was cut. And if the rope was shredded, then that meant this or that. And they don't know what they're talking about. But they were trying to say that Dre had attempted to unalive, which is not true. Vaughn had actually been threatening to unalive himself for quite some time. He was not living with Dre at the time. He was begging her for money to stay at hotels. It was not just that he just walked out there, to do some gardening and decided to unalive himself in the shed. It was not like that at all. They had had a fight. It went in. But of course, you don't hear all of the facts and the truth because that wasn't getting them the super chats. And I don't know why people would have super chatted them anyway over that's ridiculous. They just take things out of text. So Michelle started calling in and talking about her baby that had died of SIDS and how the baby's eyes had or did not have petechiae. Petechiae are those little punctate bruises in the eye that can either be around the cheeks or the eyelids when someone is unalived or has passed away. Generally, it's from strangulation. So in her case, maybe it would have been that there would not have been petechiae. But it doesn't matter because the rope was around his neck. There's going to be petechiae because it goes around. My daughter, who had surgery for her hip from a cheerleading accident, they didn't give her post-op pain because this world is messed up and it doesn't give actual people in pain meds after surgery because of assholes like this that have ruined the system. So here she is 17 and crying so hard. She's in so much pain and recovery. And they didn't have me back there, until I came in. And I was so upset because she had petechiae all around her eyes, eyelids, and cheeks and everywhere. And she does that when she cries really hard. She's got the most beautiful little blueberry eyes. And when she holds it in, she's trying to cry and she's really mad and that can happen. And so I was so mad at the staff and I was like, no, we're calling the house supervisor. We're figuring this out. We're getting my daughter pain relief. We are not playing this. We're not going to treat my daughter like a addict because she is narcotic naive. So we're going to go ahead and medicate her because look at how hard she's been crying. We're not going to do this. And they're like, no, you don't need to get the house supervisor. No, we're not playing. Get my daughter some pain medicine. And they did, and it was just very upsetting. You should not be traumatized coming out of surgery because that does not allow your body to heal as much. There's a lot of problems right now in our society because of people like these two who have taken drugs that were not prescribed to them and use them because they bought them off the streets. So then doctors don't want to let them out in the first place. Anyway, that's how she started on Molly's channel. So she got all the sympathy because she had a baby that passed away from SIDS and basically purported that she couldn't get over that she was this totally normal person from there. That one event happened. She couldn't get over it. She has, PTSD from it and she's this. So people really reached out. They wanted to know more. They wanted to comfort her. She was crying on the channel and Molly and Justin had heard it before and she was writing to them and whatnot excessively and saying that people are bullying her in the chat and whatnot. So Justin was putting limits on her. And so that's why she signed up for Molly's Patreon, and Molly wouldn't bite off on it. So she started talking to Molly's assistant, Robin, for hours on end about how to get an appointment with Molly, because it said on Molly's thing that you get phone calls as a benefit of signing up for her Patreon. Okay? So this is how it all goes up, and this is why the topic of Michelle's son is brought up. Now, when Michelle would get mad at people, she'd tell them to go and F themselves on top of her child's grave and all kinds of things and explain where the grave was, etc., etc. So when Molly tried to make friends with Ski a few weeks ago, Molly and Ski played nice. They each knew each other's background. They each had their artillery ready to shoot at each other, but they were playing real nice. They were doing this little dance back and forth. What do you know about me? What do you know about me? What do you know about me? Just nice and nice. She's flirting with him. He's putting on his charm, They're going, they're talking. It's just fine. Then, either that day or the next day, he let Molly talk with Michelle. And they started going. Just like Michelle does. Starts talking louder, 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 more obnoxious, doesn't listen, goes for the looks, goes for everything, calls you a fat, ugly old vagina, blah, 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 right? So then Michelle starts saying things about Molly's kid, about how she wanted to give up her kid, in the jail and blah, 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 blah. So Molly said something about Michelle's baby that had passed, repeating what Michelle had done. So Ski cut Molly's mic, which made Michelle all happy. Michelle wallowed in her victim mode and was like, oh, oh. And he played Captain Save-A-Ho to her and said, that's baloney. I won't let anybody talk about Michelle's son. I won't let anybody talk about anybody's passed away kid. That's fucked up. Blah, 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 blah. Anybody who does that to Michelle, fuck that. You're a piece of shit. Blah, 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 blah. Goes off on this whole rant about how nobody's going to say that to Michelle. So for Michelle to say that he did that to her, this is pivotal. There's a lot packed into that. So then, look at this. She had all this going with Ski. They had their little, joint super chat scam going. She targeted him because he was an IP2, and the bottom of YouTube, Boyd, had already had their experience with her. She used them. They taught her how to do terrible things. She lied to them. They caught her in her lies. So the other kind of self-policing unit on YouTube is IP2. Ski was on with IP2. This sounds so bad. It sounds like, you down with OPP? You down with OPP? You down with IP2? Sorry, 80s. I know. You guys are all just cringing. Like, no, don't do it. So, he lost his position in IP2 because he was doing Michelle's dirty work and doxing for her. So he lost his little connections that he had that were the last ones that protected him from this. So now she's got new people who are going to be doing her dirty work. Great.
Right.
So he did that. So then she thought, oh, I'll call his parole officer and tell him where he's at so that then he can get arrested. Oh, she did. Whoa. She's playing with fire. She does not care how low she goes. She doesn't care. Look at how nice he was to her. And yep. Look at how Charlotte put these clips together so amazingly. And then we go here.
True. What a messed up thing to do.
I'm going to stay on his probation officer's butt until he is arrested.
She's going to do that. She's going to do that. Why? Because he wouldn't go to her house. See, his requirements for a lady are middle aged, in a home, has government benefits. EBT is a huge plus to him. He wants a girlfriend that he can go and live at their house and stream from. He wants to be able to stream his YouTube from there. He wants to be able to sit on their couch and do this. So if you look at those requirements, she filled them. And so he probably was like, well, this is going to work. Here I go. And she's like, yeah, because she wanted him in there. She wanted any man in there so she could go and pull a frickin' Ruby Ridge with all those pew pews that she has in the house. So when they try to get her out of the house in May, she'll have a man in there. Now, since it didn't work, I think what she's doing is she's acting sober, getting her act together because May is coming. It would be a lot easier for her ex-husband to act on her being out of control and whatnot and get her put into rehab, call her doctor, have her put in a 5150, put her in rehab so then she's in rehab and he can sell the house. So she had to get her shit together fast as May is approaching, but I don't think she could have done it this fast. Something's up. Something's up. I'm telling you, this doesn't make sense. So she's going to be on the probation officer's ass until he gets arrested. That's what she's going to do. Now she's going to get this whole little group that's going to praise her because there are the people who don't like ski. So she's going to go and be the savior to that, so she's going to get those fans and she's going to get all the ladies that he's burned before on her side, and then she's going to be like, all right, give me a cash app for it. I got him arrested. All right, I just go ahead and give me a little cash app. And give me a cash app, bitch. Angry vagina. Angry vagina.
And what are they going to arrest him for? For what? Not letting Michelle up on his panel?
Drunk or sober, I'll never change. I am not going to let people take advantage of me. I am not going to let people lie on me. I've never been to the bar that she said I went to. I don't even know.
Oh, she's because that's how the kids talk these days. Like, you lied on me. You lied on me. And see, like, to me, I didn't understand it when I first heard it. I'm like, somebody. So you were physically with somebody and they were laying down on top of you? They were lying on you. I didn't get it. I was like, who laid down on who and for what reason? And then that's how you say it, not lied about me. Oh, you lied on me. I still don't get it, but we used to have to really think about our grammar when we were in high school. Remember having to do those stupid ass sentence diagrams and all this stuff? I did not understand them at all. I don't know why we went through all of that when now it's this. I don't understand half of what they say because it doesn't, work. I have to ask my teenagers. You're like, what does this mean? So if you are confused too, no, nobody lied on her like Lola does. She only lets Lola lie on her. But she's accusing somebody of lying about her, and she is Michelle, and she's not going to let anybody lie about her or take advantage of her. She is Michelle, and she can do magical things.
Where the hideaway is.
Somehow I don't believe that. I don't drink at all, but I know where most of the bars are in my town.
All right. So, I guess that I love Tragic Wise too. So what do they have? The two Michelles, so Double Trouble, Lucy, Halo Paws, and Tragic Wise. Michelle met the Michelles. Um, that's hilarious. So we'll go back to my boring boring thing here. Let's see. And we'll talk about, I wonder, Okay. I don't like to talk about things as if I'm saying something about somebody else. I speak on things because I know from personal experience. Number one, I'm old as shit and I've seen some things in my life. Number two, I generally have some reasoning behind what I say. So I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you a little story. I know that the haters hate it when I tell stories of my past, but okay. So I came from a long line of addicts, which I've shared. My father was a really severe alcoholic. He was one of 5 children, and his father had been out of town. He was a traveling salesman, and they were coming back into town. And my grandmother, a sweet little thing, she didn't even have a driver's license. She just loved her husband so. And they had the 5 kids. They had a beautiful house. They were going to go on a date, and she bought 2 dresses. She wasn't sure which one she was going to wear. She was all dressed up. He didn't come home. This was 1968. Instead, there was the knock on the door. That dreaded knock. They told her that while he was alive, he wouldn't be for much longer. And they advised her it was probably not a good idea for her to see him in that state. He had been trapped in a terrible dust storm, and his partner, his other traveling salesman friend with him that they used to golf all the time together, had a terrible back. So he was actually laying down in the car. He was flat. So when my grandfather that I never met ended up crashing from the dust storm because he couldn't see, that, just came up out of nowhere. I guess there was like a rock and whatnot. So he took the brunt, and the friend was laying down, was not injured at all. But my grandfather was. And my father was 14 at the time. And as the story goes, my grandfather was everything. He was that Italian stallion. He really was Italian. If side joke to the one where I said somebody was Italian, but they were actually Polish. But anyway, just giving you that big Italian stallion. He was everything. He was everything to my grandmother and my father. He was that Italian stallion. He was, you just think of, the Tony and the Sopranos. He had his crew. That's the way my grandfather was, by all accounts. I never got to meet him. And so my father, who was 14 at the time, overheard that discussion in the middle of the night by the state patrol. And he ran out of the house and he began bashing his head into the curb. And he wouldn't stop. And when they got him in the house, he went downstairs. As my grandparents had this beautiful bar, they used to have these beautiful parties, 50s, and they had a built-in bar, the pool table, the piano, all of that good stuff. He went down there and he drank and drank and drank, and he was never sober again. He never was sober. I did not know my father sober until, as time went on, he lived on the streets as a bum, if you will. And there was a little trend from teenagers to go bum killing. So my father was one that they tried to kill. And they kicked his head in repeatedly. And my father, probably too drunk to have felt much of the pain, ended up crawling into somebody's backyard, and somebody found him and they brought him to the ICU. And I got the call. I lived 5 hours away. I hadn't seen him in years, but so I went to the ICU, and as he was a bum, they didn't even take the time, to really clean him up. So, I worked for hours, getting the pebbles and dirt and shoe prints off of his face as he lay there dying. And he was in a coma. He survived. He survived. He had massive, massive brain damage. So he didn't remember to drink when he came out of his coma. He came out brain damaged as all shit, but didn't think about drinking. Didn't think about it at all. So he lived for a couple more years in a group home. And then when he passed, because he continued to have seizures from the brain damage, his death is listed as a delayed homicide. The one who was implicated in kicking his head in did 2 weeks for assault. And that's only because I really, really, really pushed for charges when he was in the ICU. Now, any time my father would wake up, he was already shaking. His hands would start to shake, and he'd have to start drinking right away in the morning, because he'd be out all night drinking and need to start drinking as soon as he woke up. My grandmother gave us her house when I was, I think, 3.5. And there was this beautiful, beautiful park about a half a block away from the house. And so I basically raised myself in the park every day. I mean, my mom was a, airhead kind of hippie type, and would just stick me outside, lock the door, and look at me through the window and like fling her hand, like, go. I'm like, all right. So, I had idiots for parents when I was a kid. So, like I say, I would just go, and we did the best things at the park. They had the Parks and Rec that would do things with us. And I mean, I had the greatest time. Later when I guess I've told you guys I'm from Washington State. So I lived really close to Manitou Park, if you guys know where that's at. So I would just spend my days in Manitou. That's what I would do. They have the Japanese gardens. They have the old abandoned zoo that was there. Manitou Park was created by the same creator who did the park in New York City. What is that? I can't think of it right now. The big, the big park in New York City. What is that called right now? I can't think of it. So the same creator did that did that out there. And so in the 1920s, the park was, the Manitou was this wonderful place for the ladies to come out. And they'd go around with their prams every day, and they'd walk to the little zoo area that they had. Central Park, Grand Central Park. It was modeled after that. So it was the same thing. So I raised myself in the park until one of the times when my dad got too abusive to my mother. One of the cops that kept coming ended up falling in love with my mother. So went from that to the meanest Barney Fife defective detective ever on the planet, who treated me like a inmate. And we'll talk about that abuse on a different day. But anyway, my father's drinking was something that terrified me. I never wanted my kids to see any alcohol or have that smell or even know that smell. So my kids are all grown. My oldest is 34, going to be 34. Um, my youngest are 19. So when they turned 18, I allowed myself to start drinking a little bit um, at dinner and stuff just for social anxiety and stuff. And I've actually gotten drunk, I think, twice now. The first time didn't work well and I threw up all over everything. And the kids were just really grossed out. And now they're surely not going to try drinking because they think it's disgusting. And that smell from mom barfing. But anyway, um, it was just, so I had that vision of alcoholism um, in my family and that being hard. Now, one of the things that happened in the 80s with alcohol and domestic violence is, the men would get drunk, go to the bar, come home, beat the shit out of their wives. I would always call the police, because then you just had to dial 0. And most of the police were my father's friends, so they wouldn't take us in. But when they did, we'd go to these um, kind of nun run women's shelters. It's when I felt so bad because my mom had just gotten her clock wrong. I mean, she got beaten up so bad, so bad. And because she was the last one in and it was her first day, then she got the duty to clean all the toilets in the facility. And I just remember doing my best to help her and watch my 2 younger sisters and help my mom scrub those toilets, and how I felt so bad because I had called the police. Now my mom had to scrub toilets and she was all bruised on her face and head, and it was really terrible. But around noon, you'd start to see all of the dads come in and they'd have these bouquets of flowers. They'd be apologizing profusely to the ladies and promised to never do it again. And they were not going to drink and they were not going to hit and everything. The honeymoon period is always wonderful with an alcoholic, with a domestic abuser, whether they drink or not. So I just remember this big sitting room, and the men would come and pack up and get their wives and children, and they'd all go home, all smiles. There you go. So I see so much of this in Michelle and her apology tour, her out of control behavior that has nowhere to go. She doesn't have a human in that house to hit, so she resorts to hitting and kicking her dog. She was beating up on Etienne. She had him by the shorties. It is rumored that the end of his naval, or at the end of his military career, army career, was affected by the accusations that she did. May or may not have had him get into early retirement. I don't know exactly how those pieces fall in. It is said that he was passed over for a promotion because of it. It is said that she had him charged with domestic violence. I don't think he was convicted of it. I don't know. Those are some of the rumors that are out there, and I don't know for sure. But from the videos I showed, she was videoing him because she was going to use those videos to show the judge. She was using those as blackmail, but not only show the judge, she was using those to show his mother that he was abusing her. And above all else, he did not want his mother to see them, given what his mother had just endured with his brother taking his own life. Now, with that being said, I went on, and when I went into nursing, I worked on the neuro rehab, and we had a lot of people who were alcoholics. And I was a little bit afraid as to how I would be able to interact with alcoholics having problems because of my past. But I was open and honest about it in my placement. And they were sympathetic and just told me, if it's too much, then I'll get a transfer. But it wasn't. It was really interesting to me And I saw those same things. I saw the trembling, I saw the trembles, and then I learned how dangerous it is to cold turkey withdrawal from alcohol. There's a lot of things that go on. Now, some people weren't even what you would assume to be alcoholics. They were just the little old ladies who had a couple of drinks after dinner each night. So then when they're in the hospital for, that third day and stuff, they start acting a little batshit crazy. And they start getting all trembly and shit. And then they go into these full things like they're called DTs, deleterious tremors. And they have to be restrained. It gets really serious. You have to give them Valium. So my question is does she know how to manage the effects of the alcohol withdrawal with the Xanax that she reportedly gets? I mean, what is she doing? What is she doing to all of a sudden act like she's got this under control? Grab a drink. I'm gonna as we're talking, grab a drink. Not that kind of drink. Grab a tea. My tea is my water's boiling. My water is done. I need to put some tea bags in. So grab yourself a drink really quick. As I do the same. What you doing, Boo Boo? You giving yourself a bath? Okay, I'm back. I am drinking that Egyptian licorice tea that I like from Yogi Teas. And like I say, it's a total dupe for the Aveda Comfort Tea if you like that. Smells so good. I do 2 packs for so basically, what is this, a 12-ounce cup that I have? So 2 packs for a 12 ounce. And okay, it says, oh, you know what? We got to read the packets because they don't have the tea leaves to read anymore. So the tea, these teas, the Yogi tea has messages on them. So one says, lift others up with your peaceful presence. Okay, I will. And then the other one says, oh, here we go. It says, serve in all truth, in compassion, and in grace. Amen. I believe that. I believe that the truth is such a forgotten virtue in our society, and without it, we're really lost. We really are. Did you guys get something? So, like I say, you don't even have to be an out of control alcoholic. As several of you have seen, she's drinking the wine instead of the Titos. So, is she able to manage the alcohol withdrawals by the Xanax? I mean, what is she doing? And then saying she's going to AA and everything. There's no way. There is no way she could have just cut off the alcohol like that. Cutting off alcohol immediately can be fatal. So, if you a person like my father and you collapse and somebody doesn't find you, and if you didn't die from the thing and you're just unconscious for that and you don't have the alcohol, you can die. So if you Google alcohol withdrawal symptoms, timeline, and detox treatment, it says here that you can cut down. So you can do it with a cautious approach for alcohol consumption. So with women limiting themselves to 1 drink daily, 7 per week, and 2 drinks daily for men, consuming more of this level of alcohol increases a person's risk of liver disease, cardiovascular disease, and other injuries. Now, we know that she has the cardiovascular disease from the block. and the liver disease was becoming quite apparent by the way that her face was looking. And it says even drinking within the recommended limits or at lower levels may increase a person's cancer risk and can increase their risk of physiological dependence. So that just gives you that. And then it comes down here and it says, what is alcohol withdrawal syndrome? And it says alcohol withdrawal syndrome is a set of symptoms that occur when someone who is physically dependent upon alcohol suddenly stops drinking or drastically reduces their alcohol intake. Okay, so the symptoms of alcohol withdrawal alone in the various stages would be headaches, anxiety, tremors or shakes, insomnia, fatigue, mood changes, gastrointestinal disturbances, heart palpitations, increased blood pressure or heart rate, hyperthermia, rapid abnormal breathing, hallucinations, or seizures. Okay? And it says having more than one drink daily for women, 7 per week, or 2 drinks daily for men, 14 per week, is generally considered alcohol misuse. Binge drinking, a form of alcohol misuse, is when a man has 5 or more drinks or when a woman has 4 or more drinks within a short period of time. Um, and then it says, the addiction is a disease characterized by the inability to control alcohol despite negative, harmful consequences, craving alcohol and having a tolerance to the effects of alcohol, and experiencing withdrawal symptoms when you try to stop drinking. And it says when a person has a physiological dependence on alcohol, the withdrawal symptoms are experienced after they significantly reduce or stop drinking, and they can be extremely distressing and uncomfortable. And people commonly return to drinking as a way of relieving their discomfort. So that's just your basic, and it goes into all of the issues and how the brain works. Um, and whatnot. So then it's going to say that the alcohol withdrawal stages and severity. And it says stage 1, where you're in mild alcohol withdrawal. It can include the headache, the insomnia, the anxiety, the hand tremors, the gastrointestinal disturbances, and heart palpitations. From the fact that she films everything, I don't see any of that. Stage 2. The symptoms may include stage 1, mild symptoms in addition to increased blood pressure or heart rate, confusion, mild hyperthermia, and rapid abnormal breathing. We see none of that. She's sitting in a t-shirt, which is appropriate for the weather. She's not trembling. There's nothing. There are no symptoms. Then it says stage 3, where the symptoms include 2 moderate symptoms in addition to visual or auditory hallucinations, seizures, disorientation, and impaired attention. It goes here, it breaks it down from 6 to 12 hours after the last drink. The mild symptoms, of early withdrawal may begin. The headache and the anxiety, insomnia, tremors, and an upset stomach. By 24 hours, visual, auditory, or tactile hallucinations. Within 24 or 72 hours, various symptoms have peaked and begin to level off. Seizures may be the highest risk in that 24 to 48 hours after the last drink. And that requires close monitoring and seizure prophylaxis. Withdrawal delirium, example DTs, as I mentioned, may appear from 48 to 72 hours after the last drink. And it can go for weeks if not treated. And it says, though rare, some individuals experience much more persistent withdrawal related symptoms such as sleep disturbances, fatigue, and changes in mood that can last for months. This is important that most people will recover fully with proper medical detox and withdrawal management services. And again, I see nothing. And this offers, all of the options. You can just go online, like she knows how, to go into a facility, and where it says withdrawal can be hard to handle alone, which is why they offer 24/7 supervised medical detox to help you or a loved one overcome the symptoms of withdrawal. Um, then it says medication for alcohol withdrawal to prevent or lessen withdrawal symptoms or medical complications that can occur with severe alcohol withdrawal. Doctors may prescribe benzodiazepines. These drugs can stop certain withdrawal reactions from proceeding to serious consequences. Other medications may also be used to stabilize patients or for supportive care, like anticonvulsants, antipsychotics, beta blockers, and alpha androgenic agonists. Patients who are dehydrated or malnourished may be given fluids or certain vitamins. Because that's the thing, too. I think that isn't that how you get wet brain? Your body depletes itself so severely in, is it vitamin K? Is it potassium? No, and then it says they can give you another thing, acamprosate, which can help you avoid alcohol use after recovery. Naltrexone, which can help to block the rewarding or reinforcing effects of alcohol. Um, It says experiencing severe withdrawal symptoms is somewhat rare. However, it can be difficult to predict, and you don't know who will or who won't. Um, Despite this, studies have identified some predictors of severe alcohol withdrawal, the seizures, and the risk factors for those are if you have heavy daily alcohol use, which we saw, being of older age, well, she's not a spring chicken, history of DTs or alcohol withdrawal seizures. Well, what were the stroke things that she was saying? Were those seizures that then she said were strokes? Comorbid illnesses, which she has the active cardiovascular issues right now. Dehydration. I don't see how she isn't dehydrated, and her spit looks all green and yellow. Electrolyte imbalances, which you would think, brain lesions, and abnormal liver function. Um, it says you should not attempt to detox on your own. A doctor or other medical professional can best determine the level of support you will need for appropriate management of withdrawal. A medical detox facility, such as those operated by AAC, this place, safe and supportive environment where you will be supervised by a physician and nursing staff who can provide medications and monitor your condition to ensure you receive ongoing evaluation and appropriate management of symptoms. She would have all of that, because she's covered by TRICARE still, and she has her SSI. I think in the past, from when you go into jail and you're under the influence, I think they routinely give you a medication to help with the um, effects of withdrawal if they suspect that you have or you're going to be having those symptoms. So in the past, when she'd be arrested for her DUIs, maybe she was given that, and then when it came down to sentencing, she was able to sober up enough and say that she'd like to go to treatment as opposed to jail, because they bought it every time. It seems she did do time for DUIs several times, but several times not. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. Are you guys seeing it too? I mean, how? Unless she was faking it and just over dramatizing what was going on with the alcohol. And this doesn't even talk about the narcotics. We won't even start on the narcotics right now. We'll leave it at that, and just give you that food for thought for right now. Well, she's busy calling Ski's
Probation officer, and she's going to be on his ass every day. She got that signed.
So the probation officer probably didn't have his actual phone number and actual address as to where he was, and he probably confided in Michelle as to where he was, and she called his probation officer, found out how to do that, and did it. So there you go, Ski. You picked the wrong fucking team. Anyway, like I said, I was thinking I should make some t-shirts based on my feelings the other day. Make the t-shirts say, fuck you, Michelle. Fuck you, Michelle. I know that there'd be a few men who would buy that. And one to ski so you can't ever wash it. With gratitude, I thank Charlotte on the web for letting me use this clip. Like I said, I didn't ask first. I'm asking for forgiveness and doing so under the fair use. Please, if you are not subscribed to Charlotte on the web, please do so. She's just a beautiful lady. I love her. And once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me share here in this open, safe space. And I will talk to y'all soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.